So example number 3, simplify the expression 1 minus x cubed all that raised to negative a half, then minus 1 minus x cubed all that raised to a half in the numerator, then in the denominator 1 minus x cubed. So you can see 1 minus x cubed is a common factor for both numerator and denominator. So to make it in more simpler form, we let 1 minus x cubed to be another unknown. So you let 1 minus x cubed to be maybe a. So where we have 1 minus x cubed, we put a. So in the numerator, the first term we'll have a raised to power negative a half. The second term in the numerator we'll have a raised to power half. Then in the denominator, we have a after letting 1 minus x cubed to be a. So you bracket both numerator and denominator to be one term. So to eliminate negative a half, because in the numerator we have negative a half and a half, then we multiply by a raised to power half, utilizing the laws of indices, because any number raised to power 0 is 1. And when you have the same base, you add the powers. So it is logical to multiply both the numerator and denominator by power half. So a term outside multiplies all the terms inside the bracket. So in the numerator, you see a raised to power half outside the bracket will multiply the first term there. Then minus the second term in the numerator is a raised to power half times the term outside a raised to power half. In the denominator, we have inside the bracket a, outside the bracket a raised to power half. So the term inside multiplies the term outside. So we can now use the laws of indices to simplify further, starting with the numerator. To simplify the numerator further, the first term in the numerator is a raised to negative a half times a raised to power half. The first term in the numerator is a raised to negative a half times a raised to power half. So laws of indices, same base, you add the powers. So laws of indices, when you have the same base, you add the powers. So negative a half plus a half is 0. So we get a raised to power 0. Any number raised to power 0 is 1. So the first term in the numerator is 1. The second term in the numerator, we have a raised to power half in the numerator. The second term in the numerator, we have a raised to power half a raised to power half times a raised to power half. So the second term in the numerator is a raised to power half times a raised to power half. So laws of indices, same base, you add the powers. Laws of indices, same base, you add the powers. So a raised to power a half plus half is 1. A raised to power 1 is just a. So the second term in the numerator So in the denominator, we have a times a raised to power half. So 1 plus a half, you have a raised to power 3 over 2. So a raised to power 3 over 2 can be written as a to power 3, then all that raised to power half. Third laws of indices, the power inside the bracket multiplies with the power outside. So if we simplify that further, the first term in the numerator we found is 1. The first term in the numerator we found is 1, then minus, then second term in the numerator is a. Then in the denominator, we have a cube raised to power half. Then the power, a half, we said the fractional powers are roots. So a half is square root. So in the numerator we have square root of a cubed. Now we substitute the value of a to get back our original expression. You substitute the value of a. A was 1 minus x cubed. So we substitute the value of a. We said a was 1 minus x cubed. A was 1 minus x cubed. So if you substitute that value, we will have 1 minus a in bracket 1 minus x cubed, because 1 minus x cubed, the whole of it is a, so you bracket it. Then in the numerator we have square root of a. You put the value of a in bracket, which is 1 minus x cubed. You close the bracket. Then the whole of that value of a is raised to power 3. So from there, we can now simplify it further by opening the bracket in the numerator to simplify it further. So if you open the bracket in the numerator, the negative sign will affect the sign inside the bracket. So you have 1 minus 1, then negative into negative inside the bracket, you get a positive sign. Negative into negative will give you a positive sign. So that becomes plus x cubed. So negative plus negative is positive. So we have plus x cubed. Then the denominator is already in its simplest form. That is square root of, in bracket, 1 plus minus x cubed. The whole of that raised to power 3. So if you simplify the numerator, 1 minus 1 is 0. We remain with x cubed. So if you simplify the numerator, we remain with x. 1 minus 1 is 0 plus x cubed, so we remain with x cubed. So we have x cubed over denominator is already in its simplest form. So this is the simplest form of the above expression. So the above expression, the simplest form is x cubed over square root of, in bracket, 1 minus x cubed, all that raised to power 3.